afternoon. Good afternoon, good day, dear friends. Today I would like to speak with you about this calamity that is happening with us and the technology that helps us to simplify our life a little bit. MTS is a huge company with offices all around the world, and we are keenly aware of all the demands leveled in various geographies of the world and what concerns are entertained by the people in various regions of the world, because this calamity has affected pretty much everyone. It affects all the areas of our life, the economy, the behavior, our regular habits and factions. The regulatory agencies of various countries, and Russia including, have been issuing all kinds of regulations for the companies to be able to function relatively safely. And they are trying to create these environments for people to be at peace in their workplaces and go about their business, daily business, at peace. Rospotrebnadzor came out with a set of rules. The Russian Consumption Supervision Agency came up with a set of rules. They are pretty similar in the other countries of the world, and they are sharing a lot of similar features. We are studying all of them, and for several groups of industries and businesses and government agencies, it's a matter of survival sticking to those rules, because it will not be possible to keep an office operating, a business center operating, or an industry operating without meeting these rules. And if you are a small, barber shop or a small shop, a small store, you can control the adherence to these rules manually. But then if you're a big industrial outfit, then adhering to these rules is a complicated matter. Just imagine you're an industrial outfit, you employ 8,000 people, they are using several entrances to come in pretty much at the same time. They need to come, they need to use their passes, they need to get controlled for temperature, for instance. You need to check that they use personal protection gear. You need to control the time when they need to show up at their working places, and you can do this manually, and you can do this automatically using the various technology available in the market that can automate these checks. Interestingly, technical means of this kind, they had not existed before the spring of this year, and developers had to get their bearings very quickly and develop the devices, develop the technology, and develop the devices that will allow our consumers to adhere to all those regulatory requirements. So what are these devices that are available to prevent COVID-19? For instance, we have integrated heat sensors. We can monitor groupings of people. We can detect mask wearing that is based on the neural nets mentioned by the previous colleagues. You can detect observance of social distance, and you can use all kinds of other technology that integrates all those sensors into one solution. You can enforce preventive measures using all these technologies. Now, how does this all work? A heat sensor can measure a body's temperature, perhaps, but then we understand that heat sensors sense the heat on various spots on the image, and the sensors tell us that this is not a person, that it's a spot with a certain temperature. So the heat sensor tells the system that there is an elevated temperature in certain spots. Now, how much is it elevated? Is this a furnace? Is this a human? Perhaps there's another camera connected to a certain mouth. It can perhaps identify a human and perhaps even identify the exact human. And then there is another set of mathematical algorithms that should control the use of the personal protection gear. Now, this information platform that is capable of working with the heat sensors, with the common cameras identifying faces, identifying individuals, and reporting on all these data, integrated with access control systems, that allows you to implement a product that does all of these things automatically. How does a thermal camera work? Now, this is a standard thermal camera. It identifies objects, the temperature of which it can measure. Actually, no, this is not the right way to put it. The camera measures the temperature, and the software identifies the object as a human, and a specific temperature value is ascribed to this human. Now, I would like to show you how it works on a real object. This is one of the techno parks where our office is situated. These are some of our employees. We asked them specifically to feature in these videos. This colleague is coming. The system sends him to the doctor. Actually, people ask me, did you actually test a person with fever? No, he actually has a cup of coffee. So before he came into the frame, he put the cup to his forehead, and the surface temperature got identified by the system. We identify this exact individual by the face. We set this value as an attribute to this individual, and we can block access to this person, or instead of blocking the access, the system can attract someone's attention to this person, or it can report this. It all depends on what the action of the system is required. Also, the system is capable of working with the various time series, and the person can come to his workplace, and he can do this in a specific time frame, the time frame that is supposed to be his shift. These technologies have been implemented in many places in Russia. This is a pilot project that I'm showing you. It is a school in Volgograd. In Volgograd, there's 29 schools equipped with automatic cameras to measure people's temperature. That increases significantly the speed of access for the children to school. They make good time. They're not late for lessons. If you measure their temperature manually, then the whole thing drags out for a very long time. Now, let's take a look at how a system can help to detect a mask, whether a person is wearing a mask or not. Now, this tool is using the same technology as of face recognition to identify people. First, we identify a face as an entity, then we identify the person, and then we identify whether the mask is worn or not. And then you either send an alarm signal, or you report this, and you remember the article, and you remember the event. We asked some of our colleagues to wear or not wear the masks, a certain number of people, and we set up the system to respond to systems that are not mask wearing. And you see the reaction. You detect an absence of a mask in the flow of people. Now let's see how this is working in the actual access control system. We are measuring temperature. The system was actually introduced in May, pretty much at the outset of the pandemic. We created the technology, people are actively using it, people are identified, the face recognition system is working, masks are detected, and the people are supposed to think in advance about wearing a mask to gain access to the territory.
You can detect people from the flow and detect images, and in the corridors or on the premises you can control whether people wear masks or not. Next technology is the counter that helps to calculate the number of people who enter the premises or leave it. If you talk about the enterprise or a shop, whatever, then you can compare the number of people who entered and those who exited, look at the load, and send an alert if this premises cannot handle such a big number of people. Another very promising technology, it is based on the behavioral analytics. It helps to detect the violations of social distancing. It's just a usual 360-degree cameras can use the behavioral analytics using this kind of skeletons to understand where people are compared to each other, and depending on where people, on how the people are, the system is set, it can detect when people are close to each other. It can push the alert in on the email or through MMS or SMS, a text message, you know, whatever the method that is used by the people who enforce COVID rules. Now, this was an overview of the state-of-the-art technologies. This is something that I wanted to share with you today, and something that I wanted to say during my time. I would like also to say that the technologies are moving ahead. We do everything to make sure that our life is more convenient and better. Please stay safe. Stay healthy. Wish you all the luck. Thank you for your attention. Andrey Khristoforov, the commercial director of ITV Group, with the presentation called Video Analytics and COVID-19. I see the words of thanks for in the Q&A section. Andrey, thank you so much for the exciting presentation. Basically, the main questions about enforcing the mask regime is about the accuracy. If we have 1,000 people with masks and 11 of them won't wear a mask, though, what is the probability of the system detecting these people and not detecting them, ignoring them? Can you hear me and see me all right? Yep. Okay. So what I would like to say about this, the quality and the efficiency of the performance of the system depends, in principle, on the conditions that and the environment the camera is operating in. So you can build a system with a very high quality of work, or you can build a system that would not work efficiently. The technology by itself has 2-3 faces that it will ignore by 1 million. But this is when the camera is just looking straightly at the people. Now, there's also the lighting environment has to be met and many other factors. Yeah, of course. If we talk about the access control systems, when a person just won't be able to get to the on-premises if he is not detected. Yes, they would have to present themselves wearing a mask. Yeah, of course. If you talk about ideal conditions, then we can say about a few errors by 1 million. In the urban environment, these, I mean, you can't really say what are the figures, and it's hard to forecast because it's unpredictable how it will unfold. I got it. It's very interesting. Andrey, thank you so much. It was a very pertinent issue. Thank you so much for that interesting presentation.